those of you who are inclined, who like video games and like new media, we need you. You know, a lot of you can be #1 draft picks to the video game business if you finish college and everything. So at the very end, I want to show what we've learned so far. Makes for a great set of college curriculum for somebody who wants to make new media. Okay? You guys get a long enough break? Again, just make sure you show proper respect to the grown-ups who brought you here, because I would think it would be a very scary thing for a teacher to say, you know, I'm not in control of this class anymore. They're going to come here and they're going to play video games all day. So make sure that by the end of the day they understand that this has been an awesome educational experience for you. And you can look up facts from the zoo online. Okay, the future of entertainment. So everybody heard about Moore's Law? Gordon Moore back in the 70s at Intel predicted that chips were going to get twice as fast every 18 months. And what's happened in the history of video games is that about every 5 or 6 years there's a 10x increase in video games. I hear mumbling. Am I doing something wrong? Just mumbling? Okay. So I think 2012 is going to magically year. Imagine 5 gigabytes in your console video game system. But that underlies everything. That's why Electronic Arts is headquartered in the Silicon Valley, and why it's important that you learn a little bit about computers. So 4 main ideas today. The first is the new Hollywood, the future of video games. We started the company in 1982, and we always thought we're going to create a new Hollywood. Someday we're going to be like the studios back in the 30s. We invented the concept of producers for video games. We've done a lot of property adaptation the same way there's so many books and comic books and video games are original properties for Hollywood. We learned how to do that. We learned how to do internal IP development. So for any of you who are kind of writing comic books or creating games or writing short stories when you should be doing your homework, that's the kind of thing that is now really valuable in the video game business that used to be valuable in the heyday of Hollywood. Now what we're trying to do is really big marketing. Anybody who's got an eBay account that's making money on eBay, we kind of need you in the video game business in a few years. Very much going to high definition. You'll see some of that. Our company has about 150 visual effects supervisors who came out of the digital film business. That turns out to be pretty important. And just as before you were born, with Saturday Night Fever and John Travolta, there was a Bee Gees soundtrack. And putting that soundtrack on the movie created the first 10 million unit album. And we're starting to see that. We launched our first platinum track on NBA Live about 3 years ago. So one thing going on in the movie business, they are in bad shape because costs of movies are skyrocketing. So everybody out here play Pokemon or look at the sports page? Cool, so that means you're good with numbers. So I apologize for any of you who don't look at the sports page and never played Pokemon and never played The Sims. You might be uncomfortable with numbers, but numbers are a really easy way to communicate. So thus the numbers. And if you look at the numbers and say, you know, why can't you just set in words like a lot and more? That's why I put it in yellow. Okay, so the next thing going on in the game business that underlies everything is we've been moving over the last 20 years to visuals that are trying to be as good as in Pixar movies. By 2012, again, video games are going to run that look as good as Toy Story and trying to get to be as good as Finding Nemo. So those of you out there who are artists, I encourage you to make sure you learn how to use our tools on a computer. Maya, Photoshop, a lot of modeling, a lot of texturing. So in the movie business, you know that most action films anymore have $20 to $80 million worth of what we call green screen work and computer effects. This is from Titanic. We did our first green screen video game in the mid-90s. Spent too much money on it. It's called Wing Commander 3. But now what we're doing, instead of all that green screen work, in addition, this is from Superman on the side with the 2 pictures on it. That's straight out of game. And the side with 1 picture on it is straight out of the movie. You know, I think the game looks better than the movie. Of course, I'm biased. So So here's an example of what some PlayStation 3 high-def video looks like. Could you roll the first one, please? Need for Speed Carbon.
Didn't expect you to show your face in it. Things have changed around here. This place is a battleground now. Tuners, muscles, exotics. Crews fighting for territory in the city. And it all gets settled in the kingdom. But you'd never survive. Never survive.
It's an Oscar award-winning visual effects supervisor kind of inventing that. And you can see we're more and more trying to make this look like a high-definition movie. And, you know, the reason that the cars look so cool is everybody on the team wants again to sell enough that they can afford their own high-definition tuner car. So next, for those of you again who are artists or appreciating, we're trying to get to, actually to get ahead of where the movie business is. Anybody see Polar Express? Polar Express was kind of lame. They did Tom Hanks. They tried to be really technical with it. But Tom Hanks looked really scary. In person he's kind of warm and fuzzy. In the movie he looked kind of scary. So here's what we're trying to do with Tiger Woods this year on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 with new ways to do human face. I think that's pretty good. Tiger's got a great smile and he used to look scary, so you be the judge. Roll, please. Cause and effect, but right after we finished teaching virtual Tiger to smile, the real Tiger started winning tournaments. That's a little more of the educational power of video games. Go Tiger. So the next thing that I mentioned, the Bee Gees, we are breaking new tracks in games. We've got a group that all they do is, about every one of our games got about 30 tracks in it, including some originals. So for those of you who have an ear for music and kind of a sense for what's hot, there's also jobs in the video game business. Could we play, please, Hilary Duff singing in Simlish? we didn't have Justin Timberlake. So the upshot of this, so 2012, when the PlayStation 4 comes out, about the time you're getting out of university, I think that most action movies are going to have co-developed video games because it's going to save about $50 million bucks. So those of you who like movies, like games, like technology, like telling stories, there's this huge opportunity. Why? Because people over 30 in the film business don't know games and don't know technology. So your guys and your generation is just going to send them out to lunch in their Armani suits. So there's a huge opportunity for people like you to reinvent Hollywood. One of the things Electronic Arts has done is this guy Steven Spielberg, who we've had a relationship for a while, decided, you know what, I'm going to, instead of trying to prototype a movie by writing a script, I think what I'm going to try to do is invent a video game that can have the emotion of a movie, and after the game gets prototyped, then I'll decide whether or not to make a movie. It's pretty cool, but it's one of the leading movie dudes of the last couple of decades, and he thinks it's important, so that's kind of a good vote of confidence. And he's in our office about every 2 weeks, but he's in LA, because that's where he lives. Okay, the second thing, so that was the new Hollywood. You guys are kind of gonna be the power that reinvents Hollywood on some of those themes. So the next thing is TV. We never saw this coming. In 1982, when we started EA, we always thought the movie companies are a competition. They're gonna be the big market share leaders. We're gonna have to figure out how to do something with them. And the movie companies basically haven't figured out about video games. They're kind of in the old world. The TV companies, and actually New York has got some leading TV groups here. I'm a real fan of MTV, and HBO has run on here forever. TV is actually more important right now to video games than movies. And subscription TV is our new inspiration. I'll tell you why in a minute. But some of the things that we need to learn is we need to figure out how to, as the TV business did, to some degree as the cell phone business did, how to charge for games not by packages but for how long you play. We need to start getting advertising in games. We need to figure out how to get people to make stuff for each other, how to think of things like EA Sports as a channel, and instead of thinking of each year's version as a sequel, think of it as a new season. We all love it when a new season of Sopranos comes out, and I love it when a new season of Madden comes out, but in the rest of the world, sequels usually have a bad connotation. In Hollywood, sequels always sell half of the previous. In games, that's not the case. As Spielberg says again, when he looks forward, he thinks that movies are going to become more like old-style movies, a place where you go with your friends to hang out and get away from all the complexity of the world, don't do anything else. And TV is going to change. People your age and your younger brothers and sisters are going to reinvent TV to basically watch it on a computer, to be doing other stuff at the same time, to multitask with it. Even the Hollywood Reporter, I figure the Hollywood Reporter notices that things are changing, that it probably already changed. But the Hollywood Reporter basically asking here to TiVo, that you guys are also a TiVo generation that grows up figuring out, hey, if I want to watch TV, I want to watch what I want to watch. I don't want to watch the stupid commercials. I want to watch it on iPod if I feel like. I want to watch it on my cell phone. I want to watch it on my computer. And I want to do MySpace at the same time I'm watching it, because I know TV shows always get a little bit boring. And I'll do my homework at the same time, and I can prove to my parents that if I'm watching TV and listening to music and IMing to my friends, I get better grades. And who knows that's true? I mean, you guys are the first generation in humankind that performs better when you do more things at once. And that's one other way that your generation is going to eat the lunch of previous generations. So we just did a study for people 12 to 28, and you guys are right about in the middle of it. And what we found is, on average, these people like you are now spending over 13 hours a week on the internet, and half the time you're doing something else. And that time is almost entirely coming out of television. So for those of you trying to figure out where to go next, you are the internet generation. I'm the TV generation. I grew up watching Tom Terrific and Leave It to Beaver. You know, because I had nothing better to do after. There was nothing else to do after school. You guys have so many things to do. So the interesting thing is people like you are now doing 50 hours of media usage per week in a 30-hour time frame. So people like you are going to figure out how to reinvent media usage around this new multitasking. It's really hard for people older than you to understand it. Next thing that's going on the internet, in 1995, experts predicted that the internet was going to get to be about this big, and what nobody predicted is that half of the internet was going to be user-generated content. You guys are the user-generated content generation. So we see things like YouTube suddenly being worth $1 billion, and we see MySpace and some other things going on. So I encourage all of you to spend time with open source. Hopefully you're doing your homework looking at Wikipedia and using the internet for research like mad, and you are involved in user-generated content exchange. It's, again, it's generational. And hopefully you learn some skills in university so you can make things here, make content and make systems. Yahoo had a vision as far back as 2005. It's kind of ancient. It was before Internet 2.0 started taking off. A guy named Lloyd Braun said, hey, it's not TV, it's Yahoo. Yahoo's goal was to be the new Fox, the new UPN. Some of you might be old enough to remember when Fox and UPN weren't official channels, and they were, I remember when USA Today wasn't even a paper, and everyone thought it was going to fail. Well, Yahoo said, we are going to be the new channel. And instead, MySpace has taken off. How many of you have MySpace or Facebook accounts? There's something cooler. MySpace is old already. Is that? You know, it's the new way to connect. I have a daughter who's a freshman, another daughter who's a senior. The daughter who's a freshman, by the third day of class, she knew not only everybody in her class, but she also knew something they'd done that day. So that's all new. But you guys, you know, it's you guys can connect in a way that nobody else has ever done. I like this. There's a really good book called Freakonomics. And in the world of online dating, somebody who says they have blonde hair, a woman who says they have blonde hair, gets the same number of responses to hookup requests as somebody who says they has a college degree. So that's Freakonomics, Stephen Levitt. I'm a fan of YouTube. Everybody look at YouTube regularly. You gotta watch this whole thing if you're playing Warcraft. It would have loaded faster before. Look at all this stuff that's over there. I think I have one too many things over there.
Would do this? Only one kind. Whoever this person is, he has played World of Warcraft nearly every hour of every day for the past year and a half. Gentlemen, we are dealing with someone here who has absolutely no life. How do you kill that which has no life?
I would love to show you the whole 22 minutes. It's hilarious, but just know it. Make Love Not Warcraft on YouTube. Joe Bob says check it out. Remember it was going to be it's not TV, it's Yahoo. Now here's the latest thing out of the Times. Yahoo's growth being eroded by new rivals. Yahoo that used to be the lead. They saw this. It's not TV, it's Yahoo. And now people at the time are saying, you know, they look like they're too late and slow. That that just shows how fast things are moving. Good luck. But you also are the speed generation. And you guys not only can multitask, but you can move faster because your technology knowledge, and also because frankly you have more energy than old people than anybody ever has. So here's another one. The Sims, which was released about 99 or 2000, there's this whole concept of user-generated content. 10,000 Sims movies have been uploaded. 100 million times people have looked at Sims story albums. Oops, thought I got that, maybe I missed it. So this is just to give you just a quick look at what they say it's user-generated content blogs in computer game space. So for any of you who think that Sims is beneath you because it's all about people and relationships and architecture, if you don't play you don't have to play the game to go to sims.com and see where video games are going. Similarly, there's blogging in The Sims, where this is from, go real quick to this one. With facts and figures. 1 million My Sim papers, 392,000 blogs. So you know, you're going to MySpace and things like that, and maybe creating your own blog, which is a great thing to do. Don't try to be a journalist. Be a blogger. It's the way of the future, and you don't have to convince people to hire you to do it. But in addition, so blogging, so pay attention to blogging because it's generational to you guys, and all video games in 5 years are going to have blogs and sharing in their communities. So this is an example, the Quincy Family album. This was the most popular album for a while. I kind of liked it. It was about a daughter who watched her parents burned to death. And then she becomes a policewoman, and as a policewoman she finds out there's a plot, and she goes and uncovers the plot and marries the handsome police cop in the end. And you know, you probably saw it on ships. So the next thing going on, video games now being used for movie making machine. Can you run the Sims movie, please? This is a user made.
But he's no match for this tough bird. Even Annie tries to beat this fowl, but this is one tough critter. Which leads us to the moral of our story. If you can't beat them, eat them. Rated T for teen.
I wish that every one of you had a teacher who said our assignment for the next 2 weeks is to make a video blog. And you know you all can do it. So that's something that's going to happen in the next 5 years in addition to all this writing stuff to actually make artifacts. So next I want to show where I think sports and TV are going. So in NBA, we'll start with NBA Live this year, but here's a Canadian dude named Brett Nielsen talking about how we're trying to integrate ESPN and NBA Live to create a total sports experience. Roll it, please.
My name is Brett Nielsen, and I'm the senior producer of NBA Live 07 Next Gen. Talking today about some of our new features in NBA Live, in particular, how we're taking ESPN integration to the next level in NBA Live 07. For those fans and EA Sports fans that have played MVP baseball or Fight Night Round 3, there'll be a couple of features that they're familiar with. And the first one is the Always Live ticker. So this is a ticker no matter where you are in the game. You're going to be able to see the scores from real world scores and news and information always running at the bottom of the screen. One of the other features that you'll find is the Radio Sports Center updates. So every 20 minutes you're going to get a 2-minute radio update, again, anywhere you're playing the game.
ESPN Radio Sports Center. Dan Davis. Nebraska head basketball coach Barry Collier is going to lead.
One of the other new cool features this year, let's say you were listening and you heard one of the radio updates and you wanted to dive in a little deeper and get a little more information about something you heard. It's like having ESPN.com right at your fingertips on the console in the form of ESPN News. So you get a series of news articles that you can access. We've actually dedicated one entire section of our game to ESPN broadcast content. Two new features this year that are going to be making their debut in NBA Live 07. First is the radio podcasts. So this is like having ESPN radio, again, playing right on your console, so you never have to leave that video game experience.
All four of the Canes have been suspended for the team's opener against Florida State, violating.
And the last feature that I'm probably most excited about is bringing ESPN television broadcasting right on your console in the form of ESPN Motion. So if you want to watch Pardon the Interruption, or maybe there's a analysis from one of your favorite ESPN personalities, if it's Greg Anthony or Stephen A. Smith, you can watch interviews or again listen to their analysis or see some ESPN programming. Again, right at your fingertips, all right on your console without having to leave that NBA Live 07 game experience. So really at the heart of our partnership with ESPN is about bringing new content, new ideas, and new innovation, and it's about merging real-world sports with the EA Sports video game experience.
Get a chance to play some stuff upstairs. Okay, so the massively multiplayer online game business is also taking off. As recently as 3 years ago, people thought there would never be more than 500,000 people playing at any one time, and now it's heading up into about 10 million a year. I think it is because the job of U.S. teenagers, your teachers tell you it's to get A's, and your parents tell you it's to be good, but it's really figuring out who you're going to be. And online is a great place to try a bunch of different personalities. It's really hard. I saw some people walking in here who are like over 6'5". Face it, it's really hard for somebody 6'5" in the real world to convince people that today I want to be a beautiful chick. Or today I just want to be small and unnoticed. But online you can be. You can be kind of a dwarf or a gnome, or even a female night elf. And similarly, a woman who's 5 feet tall, and everybody always looks at her and really wants to be this, a shaggy 6'2", bearded ugly person. In real life, you ain't gonna get there. Online, you can see what it's like. So there's the other thing online is there's 15-year-olds leading groups of 50 grown-ups on quests. So there's also no age discrimination online. In fact, as you know, people your age tend to be smarter than people my age. You probably all go home and tell your parents, here's how to set the VCR, here's how to plug the computer in, here's how to illegally rip music. So you are the leaders here. Oh, keep going. Do less ripping. So this is a new game from EA that's being designed by the guys who did Dark Age of Camelot, my second favorite MMO ever. On World of Warcraft, I have 360 level characters. I hate to admit it really bums me out that I'm spending so much time on a competitive game. But hey, you gotta go where the quality is. So our goal is to make Warhammer as cool. Let's show a little Warhammer. It's based on miniatures. See if you like it. can see, that's a great universe to make new friends in. So there's also a whole new kind of games taking off called casual games. So we have a site called Pogo that has about 11 million people playing every month. And about 1.5 million are subscribers. And the interesting thing about Pogo is not only are the customers 70% female, but they also on average are 42 years old. So your moms and people like your moms are also playing video games. So some of the things learned here is every week you can win badges. So I'm a huge believer going forward, when you're playing video games, you should always be winning something that you can keep forever. Kind of like, you're Coney Island and you win Cupid dolls or you win stuffed dolls or something that you think are going to last forever and you're going to have it in your bedroom till you're 50. Badges, swords, honor, reputation, just key. Similarly in Pogo, you can actually build yourself a character and pimp out your character, basically trading in your winnings to make your character more important. So I'm playing and somebody says something rude, I always click to see who they are, so especially if their handle is something like, Hottie99. I just want, and you don't know what they really look like. But if they say Hottie99 and they don't look hot in there, you kind of disbelieve it. Finally, I think the most interesting thing in the video game space this decade is Xbox Live. I'm a huge fan. Although I think Microsoft, the only real innovation in Xbox Live is that little green plastic glowy thing around the wireless connect button. I mean, that green thing, that's hugely innovative. Everything else are kind of best practices from the world of PC, and Microsoft's made a huge commitment here. So the only other thing about Xbox is gamer score. We're starting to see some of this community and long-term assets growing up on console that's unpredictable. So about 60% of people around the world who own Xbox 360s are playing Xbox Live. So that just shows, again, your generation is the online generation. So where this is going, by the time you get out of school, I think we're moving in this direction. This is back to the TV idea. That it turns out that video games, especially subscription video games, are now getting to a point where they are dominating in terms of hours used. Look at World of Warcraft with almost 1.5 billion hours of play in 2005 and still growing. And the movies and TV that we think are so important are just much smaller numbers. Even if you get 50 million people to watch something for 22 minutes, it doesn't add up as much. Okay, so again, talk about you people who right now are using eBay or kind of making a little money on the side. For people like you, figuring out how pricing is going to happen on the internet is the most important business story of the decade. With everybody going broadband, futurists as recently as 3 or 4 years ago were predicting that someday everybody would go to high bandwidth, and it's happening now. As recently as 3 years ago, if we did a download bigger than 1 megabyte, people would start dropping off. We get half the numbers downloading 10 megs is 1 meg, and now there's a lot of 100 megabyte downloads. So it just shows how fast things are changing there. I worked in paid television advertising in 1980. You did market research, again, for you people who want to follow a career in money. My message is don't believe market research. But in 1980, market research, a big fancy market research program for an LA paid TV company, proved that 2/3 of Americans would never pay for TV, ever. And if they did, only at $7 a month. And in 2004, it's like 80% of Americans now pay for cable, and the average is over $52 and going up. I think people are going to be spending on the internet $150 or $200 a month, 3 to 4 times what they spend on cable TV, because the internet is just better. So some other changes going on right now. Digital downloading is happening. So people who are older than you got out of college a couple of years ago used to say, I'm never going to pay for anything online. It's all going to be free. But now we're seeing people paying as much as $400 just to buy gold pieces in World of Warcraft. And now people are starting to pay money to get gamer points in Xbox Live. So it started with iTunes, praise the Lord to Steve Jobs, and ringtones, and now it's everywhere. So you guys are growing up in an age when people believe that virtual content is valuable. Even to a point where we now have our first lawsuit about virtual content. Some dude in Second Life felt that Second Life ripped them off on some land, and there's no laws about this, about land scams in the virtual world. So this is going to be interesting to watch, but it's a good indicator that there must be money here because lawyers are showing up. And any of you who know lawyers, you know they don't show up where there's not money. So for you all, my advice in general as you're going to college is follow your passion. So if you have a passion for video games and new media or blogging or various social networks, cool, but what else do you have a passion for? In the history of Electronic Arts, I've been in business for a while, every new killer app in the game business that drove growth tended to be the first time a group of customers' hobbies came to interactive. That's what happened with EA Sports. That's what happened with Sims. A quarter of the people who played Sims had never played games before, but they were into dolls or reality TV. A lot of new ideas are coming out of university. Here's a list of some of them. And the reason is, people in university they disbelieve the old rules, so they just do new stuff. And some of the things I'm seeing in university, so this is a blurb that there are now 60 universities in America trying to start video game programs in art, in computer programming, and design. So as you look at universities, I've been surprised to find that some universities don't allow students to take classes outside their major. If a class is hard to get into, if it's outside your major, you can't take it. And video game people need to take classes across a couple majors. So if you don't go to a school that has a specific video game program, make sure you go to a school that likes dual majors. If they don't like dual majors, you're going to have problems. So student games, over the last 2 years, there's starting to be national press on studio games. When I teach a video game design class at USC Film School, teachers, close your ears. What I tell students is you can't get an A from the teacher. What do teachers know? You can get a B from the teacher. If you want to get an A, you got to get it from the real world. You got to enter a competition. You got to get 10,000 downloads. You want an A, get 10,000 downloads. And so the students took me up on that. Cloud was at 1 million downloads. It did 10,000 its first day, and it shut down the USC student servers, so we had to host it at EA. Peacemaker is designed at Carnegie Mellon by a former Israeli intelligence agent, and it lets Arab kid and Israeli kids and American kids all play together to see if they can figure out how to either totally annihilate the other or figure out a brokered peace. That Sims 2 Spook, that was a class project where students in only 12 weeks went from not knowing how to script in Sims to actually building an expansion pack. The far right is Peacemaker, and the bottom, that center one called Darfur is Dying. A woman named Susanna Ruiz proposed it, and did the proposal in my class, and sent it into MTV and got $50,000 to build it out. So again, student inventiveness, adult funding. And the one with the fire department, that's NYFD hazardous materials training. And it's actually now how the Army and the NYFD are trying to train people to be at risk through video games. Mobile's taking off, so again, your generation is going to start reinventing how entertainment happens on mobile. Serious games are surprising. I found in video game classes that I'm in, about a quarter of the students want to change the world rather than make money. And so I actually think that in 5 years, there's going to be thousands of video game and programming graduates every year who want to do non-profit things. And I encourage schools and governments and industry to figure out a way to fund them. And I actually think that serious games are going to change education. And I also wish all textbooks would go away. So finally, so the Nintendo Wii's coming out. So let's run a video. This whole notion of active. So for those of you who don't like to sit still all day on active games, here's a little about the Nintendo Wii. Roll it, please. So final thought, game is becoming the hub of all entertainment, and I wanted to leave you with one more YouTube.
Then a typical Sims player can use very easily. In essence, what we're trying to do is build almost a version of Maya that a typical Sims player can use very easily. And the most complex editor in the whole thing really, in fact, is the Future editor. And I want to have somebody come up and just kind of show you what it's like to have a new person play this. Now, is there anybody in the audience who's ever played an Alien before, let's say, the TV series? Can there be anybody in the audience like that at all? Hey, ask you, sir, please, come up here and maybe show the audience how delightfully easy this is.
My English is not so good. I thank you for the invitation, but allow me to be here to develop my picture in a way of growth possibility. In fact, I was spinal with chiropractic, and this is how it relaxes. This is what we call picture Pilates. And yes, take it over and see the special work on this part here and maybe taking feet. It's my leg. Okay, you got leg, right now when you realize this is a design checkup. I hold my feet and over. You know where to go with this. That's why you use it then. And here we go, you sensitive hands. What are the senses? Well, our noses are down here. What about there's your venous lupus? Gastric fiber. This makes it pleasant, so it's really good. You look at that, you have to realize there was no environment. We get a little some fucking Christians going, you shouldn't be doing that. Okay, well, here, I get it up. Whoa! Well, someone's gonna be. Put someone into that saucer. Okay, yeah, there he is. This is that holiday. I think we've done it. Oh, yeah, there it is. Wait, I think we just try to make you. We're going to put the nostril on top. That's the nostril again? Yeah, that's kind of This is basically a creature that can be poked from a mile away. And if two noses, one for eating the other, just to take it every smell. Oh, yeah, I think we're close to that. Yeah, let's paint now. Let's get the paint because this creature is better on our life. Okay, let's see. Now, if you make this creature in my place, this creature's in my space, right? I'm really looking for a single woman. Loves to French kiss for 2 hours. Basically, right now you have an eggplant. Stripes here. I got that one. Ooh. Pick your clothes with stripes. So yeah, pick your clothes with stripes. It's insane. Okay, there it is. And now for our back stripes. Oh, that's a fun thing. There we go. I think we've got something good now. Yeah, let's bring it to life and just see how long before basically this one will eat. The top up? Right there. Oh, wow. Someone's had too much to drink. Yeah.
So the interesting about that one is that was somebody in the audience happened to be carrying a video camera. Robin's appearance was unannounced and it showed up and it had like 100,000 downloads on YouTube by the next day. And now here I am showing back something that he didn't even create. So Sportworks, about a year away, again, is an example of how Electronic Arts is trying to do all these things we're talking about with the infinite customization, because you are the pimp yourself generation. With content exchange, in Spore, you go to 2 million different stars and about 6 million different planets, and every creature on every planet has been created by another real person. So when you play, you can find out how your character is doing in millions of other people's universe. Personalized soundtrack, in-game exchange, and even stuff to buy. And again, a way that you can make video blogs. In the world of new media, it's important to be a lifelong learner. These are the books that I think are most valuable. The top 3 are about marketing. Don't go to business school, read these 3 books. The next 2 are about how economics works in technology companies. You know, don't go to graduate school, read those 2 books. And the last 3 are about how to be creative in business. Don't hire a creativity consultant, read those 3 books. And finally, as you're picking colleges, here are the things, if you want to get into media, that you have to do. So work on 3 projects and make stuff with at least an artist, a programmer, and a designer. You know, do a mod on Unreal Tournament or Neverwinter Nights or Battlefield. Build something that you can upload that actually can be used in a game, like a Sims mod, or even better yet, take your favorite game and do a prototype of something that makes it better. And sometimes you can find companies willing to pay for that. That's what's happening with the new Half-Life from Valve. They've got a whole new feature in it they bought from some university kids. Next, your thesis project should be a game with about 5 people for a year. And in some of the schools you can get funding to do that. And those student projects I showed you before, those were done for credit with outside money. Get great in one function. Could be movie making, could be programming, could be art and animation, but get great at it. And then across function, make sure you take some design classes, make sure you take psychology classes, make sure that you do paper games, like card and dice games, like Stratomatic, or again, like Pokemon, and make sure you figure out how to sell things. And with that, I say thank you.